Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. The United States District Court for the Eastern District of Wisconsin is now open. The Honorable Judge Beth E. Hannon presiding. All persons having business before this honorable court are admonished to draw near and to give their attention, for the court is now in session. God save the United States and its honorable court. You may be seated.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As you heard, my name is Beth Hannon, and I'm a bankruptcy judge here in the Eastern District of Wisconsin. Today, we have 23 applicants from 15 different countries. And I know for some of you, the path to this day was not easy. Leaving your homeland, saying goodbye to family and friends, that's emotional. Traveling to a new country, finding a new job, those are all big changes. For some of you, it's meant learning a new language, adjusting to a new culture. Sometimes there's confusion there. But your presence and your effort are part of what makes this country so dynamic. In 2016, former First Lady Michelle Obama said, "You are part of a proud American tradition. The infusion of new cultures, talents, and ideas, generation after generation, that has made this the greatest country on earth." In short, that means we are a country of people who want to be here. People who've made a conscious decision to move from wherever they were born. I know each of you brings your own background, experiences, and opinions that you can share with others so that we all benefit from the wisdom gained in that exchange of ideas. Some of my ancestors came to this country from Germany, from Scotland, from Ireland, from Norway. I have a sister-in-law who grew up in Honduras and, like you, recently chose to become a US citizen. So the history of immigration to the United States is the history of the country itself. Other than American Indians, like you, all of our families originally came from someplace else. The Chicago neighborhood where I grew up was at the time the most ethnically diverse region in the country. And it was a culturally rich, fascinating place to live. There are many famous Americans who were born outside of the United States and later became citizens. Actress Salma Hayek was born in Mexico. She became a United States citizen. The classic seasonal movie, It's a Wonderful Life, was directed by Frank Capra, who was born in Italy, and then he became an American citizen. More recently, Monique Truong, a best-selling author, was born in Vietnam, and she chose to become a citizen. I have a very long list of people like that. Now, you might be looking around this room thinking, I wonder where she was born. I wonder where he's from. But I have a list, and I'm going to read off the names of countries. And if you hear your native country, please raise your hand so we all understand a little bit about each other. Burma, Burundi, Congo, Kinshasa, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Egypt, India, Iran, Laos, Lebanon, Mexico, Philippines, Sweden, Turkey, Vietnam. Thank you. Now, I think after this ceremony, there are some people from the League of Women Voters in the hallway, and they have a table sort of towards the back of the atrium, and they have some information about registering to vote, which is a privilege you will all have after today. We're grateful they can be here. Also here today is a representative from the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Office Services, Officer Thomas Moore. And as part of today's process, he has a motion to present to me.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
My name is Thomas Moore. I'm a designated officer of the U.S. Citizenship Immigration Services Home Office. This morning, Your Honor, I motion for the admission of United States citizenship, 23 applicants for naturalization here present in this courtroom, including 23 applicants for motion of the court for a legal name change. Each of the applicants has been examined by an officer of the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Each applicant has been found to be a person of good moral character who has resided in the United States for the period of time required by the statute. Each has been found to be favorably disposed to good order and happiness in the United States, and each is familiar with the history of the United States, the principles of the Constitution, and form of government of the United States. No objection to their admission has been found. Therefore, Your Honor, I respectfully move that each of the applicants here present be admitted to United States citizenship, that the court grant motion for name changes. Those applicants who requested it upon taking the oath of allegiance as required by the statute.
Thank you, Officer Moore. I'm happy to grant both those motions. Now, before you take the oath of allegiance to the United States, and you know it's up on the board, it's my job to explain to you its meaning. It has two parts. In the first part, you will absolutely and entirely renounce any allegiance and fidelity you previously had to any prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty. These words are plain. The oath means what it says. After you take the oath, you will owe all of your allegiance to the United States. The allegiance you held to the country from which you came will be destroyed as if it never existed. And any blood you may shed in the future will be American blood. But this does not mean that you have to forget or deny your native heritage. One of the things that gives this country its vitality is the fact that people of so many distinct cultures and traditions live here side by side. Many immigrants to the United States continue to enjoy the traditions of the countries from which they came. By becoming citizens of the United States, you do not have to give up those traditions that are important to you. My own example, my great-grandparents who came from Scotland chose to only speak Scottish Gaelic on Sundays in their house. I'm sure you have your own traditions. Our country also has many state and federal laws that respect and protect this kind of diversity. In America, it is illegal to discriminate against someone based on his or her race or nationality. Likewise, the First and 14th Amendments protect our freedom to associate with whom we choose. So at this point, I must ask you, if any of you are unwilling to renounce your allegiance and loyalty to your former country, please raise your hand now and your petition for naturalization will be withdrawn and dismissed. All right, seeing no hands raised, I'll move on to the second part of the oath. In that part, you will swear to support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. The Constitution was adopted over 225 years ago. Its purpose is set forth in its preamble, which is to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, to provide for the common defense, to promote the general welfare, and to secure the blessings of liberty. The Constitution sets forth the principles upon which this country was founded, and it establishes the three branches of our federal government: the legislative branch in the form of Congress, which is made up of the House of Representatives and the Senate, the executive branch, the powers over which are vested in the president, and the judicial branch, headed by the United States Supreme Court. At the time our Constitution was drafted, some states of this new country were concerned that the Constitution could result in tyranny of the type they had just fought against with England. So they insisted that further language be added to prevent misconstruction of this new document and prevent any abuse of the powers that it prescribes. So in response, Congress proposed 10 amendments to the new Constitution, which we now refer to as the Bill of Rights. In the Bill of Rights, the drafters attempted to guarantee to themselves and their children, and now to you and your children, certain liberties, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from unreasonable searches and seizures, the freedom from imprisonment without a fair trial. And those are just some examples. One of our jobs as federal judges is to make sure that those freedoms are protected and that the government doesn't do anything to infringe on those rights. If we conclude that you've been the victim of an unreasonable search and seizure, for example, any evidence seized by the government in that search cannot be used against you. In the 2 centuries since the Constitution was ratified, there have been occasions when the collective wisdom of the people was that further change is necessary, that the way things are is not wholly acceptable. So there have been additional amendments to the Constitution that have established new civil rights that we believe are fair and just. In 1865, for example, near the end of the Civil War, the 13th Amendment was adopted, outlawing slavery. In 1870, the 15th Amendment was passed, giving Black men the right to vote. In 1920, women were given the right to vote with the passage of the 19th Amendment. And you may have read that Wisconsin was the first state to ratify that amendment over 100 years ago. But the basic principles of the Constitution have endured, even though at times there's been argument and debate over what those principles mean. The doctrines contained in the Constitution have allowed this country to transition from what at the start was largely an agricultural society into an industrial world power. When the Constitution was written, there were no gasoline-powered engines, no electricity, no airplanes or drones, no phones of any type. Think of how much the world has changed just in your own lifetimes. When the Bill of Rights drafters wrote that people shall not be subject to unreasonable searches and seizures, they were thinking about searches of people's homes or barns or their clothes. They weren't thinking about searches of your cell phone or your computer. But those same rights and protections provided for over 200 years ago are simple enough and basic enough that they apply just as much today as they did when written. Imagine the challenge of writing a document that can withstand the test of time and unknown technological changes, which are surely to come. Our Constitution has proven to be a truly tenacious document. By taking your oath today, you join the millions of citizens in this country who, in promising to support and defend the principles set forth in the Constitution, no matter what it may cost you. A cousin of my great-grandfather served the Northern troops as a scout in the Civil War and is buried at Arlington National Cemetery. He died defending the principles set forth in the Constitution. My grandfather served in the Army in World War I. My father served in the Navy in World War II. My father-in-law served in the Army in the Korean conflict. And just this fall, I attended the Marine Corps graduation of one of my nephews. Every May, we observe Memorial Day, when we honor men and women like my Uncle Richard, who have died while serving in the U.S. Armed Forces. Hopefully not, but someday you, like I, may be called upon to defend the Constitution and the United States against an attack. By taking this oath, you agree you will do so if asked. The Constitution provides you with civil liberties and privileges, but not with guarantees. There are no guarantees. The American dream is the belief that through hard work and determination, anyone, including any naturalized citizen, can achieve a better life, usually in terms of financial prosperity and enhanced freedoms. But there is no guarantee of happiness, no guarantee of success. You have to gain those on your own. But the government won't get in your way. Great examples of improved circumstances can be found by thinking about those people I mentioned earlier who came to this country. They came here not already rich and successful, but through hard work and determination, sometimes some ingenuity, they've been able to achieve success. In 2017, another former First Lady, Melania Trump, spoke to young people at a ceremony recognizing International Women of Courage. She said, "Remind yourself that you too are capable of greatness." Excuse me. My grandchildren get germs at the daycare. I looked it up a couple years ago. The word justice was the word most searched for in the online dictionary. You see many groups, maybe some of you have been a part of them, who are seeking justice for a number of different causes. And we know ours is not a perfect country. We still have many entrenched poor. We have crowded prisons. Sexism and other biases remain. One of my favorite bishops has said, our culture has been a paradox of both welcome and prejudice. But I'm old enough to have seen that collectively, Americans are trying to address these issues and others, and slowly but surely make them better. As new citizens, if you disagree with something our government is doing, or you think it's not doing enough, you can voice your opinion. And now you can work from the inside for change. Being a United States citizen means that you are free. You are free to think on your own, free to form your own opinions, free to say whatever you want to say, even if it is unpopular. You're free to work where you want to work, to read what you choose to read, to believe what you want to believe, to openly practice any religion or no religion at all. But with those freedoms comes responsibility. It is a responsibility to participate in the democratic process by voting, not casually, but in a thoughtful and informed way. You have a responsibility to educate yourselves so that you can make wise choices. Our democracy only works when its citizens participate fully by helping to select those who will govern us all and by taking that process seriously. By taking this oath today, you all will have the right to vote, and I hope you take advantage of that very precious right. All right, at this point, I ask all the applicants to stand to take the formal oath of allegiance. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I hereby declare on oath
I hereby declare on oath
that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure
renounce and abjure
all allegiance and fidelity
all allegiance and fidelity
to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty,
to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereign,
of whom or which
of whom or which
I have heretofore been a subject or citizen,
I have heretofore been a subject or citizen,
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States of America
the Constitution and laws of the United States of America
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States
that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States
when required by the law,
when required by the law,
that I will perform non-combatant service
that I will perform non-combatant service
in the armed forces of the United States
in the armed forces of the United States
when required by the law,
when required by the law,
that I will perform work of national importance
that I will perform work of national importance
under civilian direction
under civilian direction
when required by the law,
when required,
and that I take this obligation freely
and I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
So help me God.
So help me God.
Let me be the first to congratulate you all on becoming citizens of the United States of America. You can be seated. Thank you. You now possess something that many people around the world would like to have, U.S. citizenship. Millions live in countries where they can only dream of the rights and freedoms that you now enjoy as U.S. citizens. It is important that you take advantage of those rights and freedoms. Get involved. Speak out against things that you think are wrong. I know you studied hard to take the citizenship test, but don't stop. Continue to educate yourselves about candidates for public office, referenda issues, so that when you vote, you can cast an informed vote in local and national elections. Without people willing to work for change, we still would have slavery. Women still would not be able to vote. For the United States, your country, to continue to develop and improve, we all need to strive to protect those principles upon which it was founded and not let anyone, including our elected officials, violate those constitutional rights. I know many of you went through a lot to get to this point, and you've demonstrated that you have what the United States values in its citizens. We are all enriched by the fact that you have chosen to become our fellow citizens. So as time goes by, all the weeks and months can blend together. We get busy, and before we know it, we're much older than we were just the other day. We wonder where the time went. But there are some occasions in life that you always remember. You always remember your wedding day. You remember when your children were born. You remember the day a loved one died. I have little doubt that today too is a day you will always remember, hopefully as a very happy and good day in your lives. So given my job as a federal bankruptcy judge, if you never see me again, that's probably an okay thing. But if you do bump into me on the street, I hope you stop me and say hello and tell me how you're doing, or even send me a note here at the courthouse. I'm very happy for all of you. These proceedings are concluded.
All rise.